All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be talking about relationships.
Yeah.
But not just like the regular kind of relationship advice you might hear.
Right.
We're going to be looking at it
Uh-huh.
through the lens of Islamic guidance.
Okay.
And specifically, we're going to be looking at advice from Mufti Menk. Now, he's a pretty renowned Islamic scholar.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
And he's got some really interesting things to say about how to approach love
Okay.
and commitment
Mm-hmm.
in a way that kind of goes against the grain of what we normally hear.
All right. I'm interested.
So are you ready to kind of dive into this?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So one of the things that really stood out to me from Mufti Menk's teachings is this whole idea of protecting your heart
Protecting your heart.
and your mind
That's interesting.
before you actually even get into a relationship.
Hmm.
Now, that's kind of a different spin on things, right?
It is. Usually we hear all about, follow your heart and...
Exactly. It's all about the emotions.
Right.
But Mufti Menk is saying, hold on a second. Let's take a step back
Okay.
and think about how we can actually protect ourselves
Right.
from getting hurt, from making decisions that maybe aren't in our best interest in the long run.
That makes sense. I mean, heartache is a real thing.
It is. And I think sometimes we can get so caught up in the excitement of a new relationship
Yeah.
that we don't always stop to think about the potential consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So Mufti Menk's advice is really all about kind of mitigating those risks.
Okay, so how does he suggest we do that?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. He actually recommends involving family.
Family.
Yeah,
Like your parents and siblings?
exactly.
Wow, that's early.
I know, right? It's like the opposite of what we see in movies and stuff.
Totally. Usually it's like a big secret until things get serious.
Right. But Mufti Menk is saying bring your family in from the very beginning
Huh. Okay, but why?
because he sees it as creating this kind of protective layer around you,
A protective layer.
or like a safety net almost. But instead of catching you when you fall, it helps you avoid falling in the first place.
Interesting.
So your family can offer insights, they can spot red flags,
Mm-hmm.
they can help you navigate all the complexities of a relationship.
Yeah, I guess they do know you pretty well.
Exactly. And they've got your best interests at heart.
True.
So by involving them early on, you're basically getting this like team of advisors.
A relationship advisory board.
That's a great way to put it.
Mm.
And Mufti Menk actually specifically warns against emotional predators
Oh, wow.
who might try to take advantage of someone who's, really emotionally vulnerable.
Yeah, especially early on when everything feels so intense.
Right. And that's not just limited to romantic relationships either. It
Right.
could be friendships, business partnerships, any situation where you're putting your trust in someone else.
So it's about being discerning about who you let into your life.
Precisely. And making sure that the people around you have genuine good intentions.
Okay, I see where he's coming from.
And it's not just about protecting yourself from harm either. Mufti Menk also emphasizes the importance of finding someone who's compatible with you.
On like a deeper level.
Exactly. Someone who shares your values, your
Bold
goals.
vision for the future.
Right.
Okay, so we're talking about more than just, initial attraction.
Absolutely.
It's about building a strong foundation.
Yes. And for Mufti Menk, of course, that includes aligning with Islamic values.
Right, which makes sense in his context.
Of course. But even outside of that, those values emphasize things like respect and kindness and commitment.
Qualities that are important in any relationship, really.
Exactly. So it's about finding someone who not only makes your heart flutter, but who also supports you,
Uh-huh.
uplifts you, and shares your journey in a meaningful way.
So it's a holistic approach to relationships.
I think that's a great way to sum it up. So now that we've kind of laid out the foundation, what are some of the actual actionable steps that Mufti Menk recommends?
Well, we've already talked about involving family early on, but he also talks about maintaining emotional boundaries until the relationship is actually formalized.
Through Islamic marriage.
Right.
And this is another point where it might seem counterintuitive.
Because
In today's world, things tend to move pretty fast.
yeah,
But Mufti Menk is advocating for a more deliberate approach.
taking it slow.
Exactly. And he also suggests seeking guidance through prayer.
Like speaking to a higher power for direction.
Right. Specifically through a prayer called istikhara.
Istikhara.
Yeah, it's a special prayer where you ask Allah for guidance on a particular matter.
I never heard of that before.
It's about surrendering your own desires and seeking clarity on what's truly best for you.
Even if it's not what you initially think you want.
Exactly, because sometimes our emotions can lead us astray.
That's true.
So istikhara is a way of tapping into a higher wisdom
A way to get some perspective.
and make sure you're on the right path.
Interesting.
So taking things slowly, setting healthy boundaries, seeking guidance from your family and through prayer.
It's a very intentional way to build a relationship.
It is. And I think it's especially relevant in today's world,
Where everything moves so fast.
right? With online dating and social media, it's easy to get swept up in the whirlwind of it all.
Yeah, you're constantly bombarded with images and messages.
Exactly. And it can be hard to slow down and really discern what's right for you.
Mufti Menk's advice is like a breath of fresh air.
It is
It's a reminder that we have the power to choose.
to be intentional and to create relationships that are built on a solid foundation.
I think the biggest takeaway for me from all of this is this idea of prioritizing emotional self-preservation.
Yeah, that's really powerful.
It's like Mufti Menk is saying your heart is precious. Guard it. Don't give it away too easily. And make sure you're surrounded by people who will help you protect it.
And that's a message that resonates with everyone,
It does.
regardless of your background or beliefs.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we all want to love and be loved, but we also want to do it in a way that's healthy and fulfilling. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'd like to leave you with a question.
Okay.
If prioritizing emotional self-preservation is key, how can we practically evaluate our own emotional boundaries and the support systems we have in our relationships? What steps can we take to ensure that we're not rushing into things, but rather building relationships on a foundation of shared values and mutual respect?
That's a great question to ponder. And I encourage all of you to really reflect on it and see how you can apply Mufti Menk's wisdom to your own lives.
Because ultimately,
Yeah.
it's about creating relationships that bring joy,
Yeah.
peace, and lasting fulfillment.
To all of us. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time, take care.